Jake Morrison stood in the center of the massive hall on Zentari Prime. Around him, thousands of alien beings filled the seats that stretched up toward the ceiling like a giant bowl. Their eyes, tentacles, and other sensing organs all focused on him. The human ambassador felt very small in this place, but he kept his back straight and his face calm. The Zephyrian High Chancellor rose from his golden throne. His blue skin gleamed under the bright lights, and his forearms moved in patterns that meant he was about to speak something important. When he opened his mouth, his voice filled the entire hall without any help from machines. "Human representative," the Chancellor said, his words translated into English by the devices in Jake's ears. "Your species has been judged by the Galactic Council. You have spread to 17 worlds beyond your birth system. This is not allowed for a Level 3 civilization." Jake said nothing. He had been told to listen first, speak second. Around him, the alien council members made sounds of agreement. Some clicked, others hummed, and a few made noises he could not understand even with the translator. "The council has decided," the Chancellor continued. "Your species will remove all colonies beyond the Sol system. You have one standard cycle to complete this task. If you refuse, your entire species will be removed from the galaxy." The words hit Jake like cold water. One standard cycle was about 14 Earth months. The aliens wanted humanity to abandon 17 worlds, leave behind everything they had built, and return to just Earth, Mars, and the other planets around their sun. "What if we refuse?" Jake asked. The Chancellor's face showed something that might have been a smile on a human. On him, it looked like a threat. "Then we will make your species extinct. We have done this before to races that did not listen. Your technology is primitive. Your ships are slow and weak. Your weapons cannot hurt our fleets." Jake nodded slowly. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small device. Several alien guards moved forward, but the Chancellor waved them back. "I need to send this message to my government," Jake said. "They need to hear your words directly." The Chancellor agreed. Jake activated the device, and a hologram appeared in the air above his head. It showed two humans sitting at a table in what looked like a military command center. The first was Commander Lisa Hayes, a woman with short brown hair and sharp green eyes. She wore the dark blue uniform of the Earth Defense Forces. Next to her sat Admiral Ryan Carter, an older man with gray hair and scars on his hands from his days as a starship captain. "We hear you, Ambassador Morrison," Lisa said through the device. "We also hear the Chancellor's message." Admiral Carter leaned forward. "Chancellor, let me make sure I understand. You want us to abandon our colonies and limit ourselves to one star system." "That is correct," the Chancellor replied. "Your species is too aggressive and breeds too quickly. Left unchecked, you will become a threat to galactic peace." "I see," Carter said. His face showed no emotion. "And if we refuse, your species will be eliminated." Jake watched the two officers on the hologram. Lisa's jaw tightened, and Carter's eyes became very cold. Both humans were quiet for a long moment. "Ambassador Morrison," Lisa finally said, "please thank the Chancellor for his clear message. Tell him we will give him our answer in exactly one standard cycle." The connection ended, and Jake put the device away. Around the hall, alien council members made sounds of satisfaction. They seemed pleased that the humans had not argued or made threats. "You are wise to accept reality," the Chancellor said. "Many species have tried to resist the Council's will. None succeeded." Jake looked up at the thousands of alien faces around him. "Chancellor, may I ask how many species have you eliminated?" 47, the Chancellor answered without hesitation. "Some fought, some tried to hide, some begged. All failed." "I understand," Jake said. "But I think you should know something about humans." "What is that?" Jake's face remained calm, but his voice became harder. "We are not like the other species you have eliminated. When you threaten to destroy everything we have built, everyone we love, and every world we call home, you make a serious mistake." The Chancellor's forearms moved in a pattern that showed confusion. "What mistake? You assume we will fight like civilized beings," Jake said. "You think we will follow rules of war? Show mercy to prisoners and respect your superior technology. You believe we will surrender when the odds are against us." The hall became very quiet. Jake could feel the attention of every alien focused on him. "But here is what you do not understand about humans," Jake continued. "We are not civilized when someone threatens to kill our families. We do not follow rules when our children are in danger. We do not surrender when our entire species faces extinction." Jake walked in a slow circle, looking up at the alien faces around him. 50 years ago, when your first contact team attacked our exploration ship, you thought you were teaching us our place in the galaxy. What you actually did was give us 50 years to prepare for this moment." The Chancellor's blue skin had become darker. "Prepare? Prepare what?" "For war," Jake said simply. "Not your kind of war with honor and rules and proper formations. Our kind of war. The kind where we turn everything into a weapon. The kind where we never stop fighting until either we win or there are no humans left to fight." Jake stopped walking and looked directly at the Chancellor. "You have made one critical error in your calculations. You assume we will fight like you do. We will not. We are human." The silence in the hall stretched for a long moment. Then the Chancellor made a sound that was like laughter, but colder. "Your bravery is noted, human. But bravery does not stop plasma cannons or shield generators. Your species has one standard cycle to comply. If you do not, we will demonstrate why 47 other species chose extinction over wisdom." Jake nodded. "I will carry your message to my people, Chancellor, but I think you should carry a message to yours." "What message?" Jake's face showed no emotion, but his words were like ice. "The Galactic Empire was warned. Terran wrath is coming." He turned and walked toward the exit. Behind him, the alien council members began making sounds of discussion. Some seemed amused, others worried. But Jake Morrison did not look back. He had delivered humanity's message, and now there was work to do. As he left the hall, Jake touched a small device hidden in his sleeve. Across the galaxy, on Earth and 17 human colonies, military commanders received a single coded signal. The message was simple. Protocol Omega is now active. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. 3 months after Jake Morrison's warning to the Galactic Council, the first alien ships appeared in the Kepler system. Captain Tony Martinez watched them through the bridge windows of his defense station above New Austin Colony. The enemy fleet was enormous. Hundreds of sleek silver ships moved through space like a school of deadly fish. "Sir, we count 437 vessels," reported Lieutenant Bobby Chen from the sensor station. "They have us outnumbered 50-1. Tony nodded. He had expected this. New Austin was one of the outer human colonies, the first target any smart military leader would choose. The planet below held 3 million human settlers, including his own wife and 2 daughters. "Send the evacuation signal," Tony ordered. "All civilian ships are to follow emergency route Delta 7. On the main screen, he watched as hundreds of small ships rose from the planet's surface. They looked like they were fleeing in panic, crowding toward the system's edge where they could jump to faster-than-light speed. The alien fleet let them go. Why waste ammunition on running civilians? "Sir," called out Ensign Danny Park from the communication station, "the alien commander is sending a message." "Put it through." The screen filled with the image of a reptilian creature wearing elaborate armor. Its yellow eyes looked directly at Tony. "Human Commander, I am War Leader Sithmak of the Galactic Fleet. Your colony will surrender immediately, or we will destroy every structure on the planet's surface." Tony straightened his uniform and looked back at the alien. "War Leader, this is Captain Martinez of the Earth Defense Forces. We will not surrender." Sithmak's mouth opened, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Then you choose death for your colonists." "No," Tony said calmly. "We choose to fight." The alien seemed amused. "With 8 defense platforms and 12 patrol ships, you cannot be serious." "We are always serious when defending our homes," Tony replied. "But you are right about one thing. We cannot win this battle." "Then why fight?" Tony smiled. "Because someone needs to see what you really are. Someone needs to witness how the great galactic empire makes war on farming communities and mining towns. Sithmak's amusement faded. You speak as if others are watching. Oh, they are, Tony said. Every human colony, every Earth ship, every military base in our space is watching this battle right now. They want to see how brave galactic warriors fight against overwhelming odds. The alien's eyes narrowed. You mock us. No, war leader. I respect you. You have superior ships, better weapons, and more training. When you destroy this station and bombard that planet, you will prove that the Galactic Empire can crush a few million farmers and their 8 defense platforms. Tony paused, then continued. The question is, what will you have learned about fighting humans? The connection ended. Within minutes, the alien fleet began its attack. The battle was exactly what everyone expected. The human defense platforms fired their missiles and energy weapons, but the alien shields absorbed the damage easily. Human patrol ships attacked in small groups, but they were destroyed quickly by the superior enemy vessels. Tony's station shook as alien plasma bolts hit its armor. Emergency lights flashed, and smoke filled the bridge. Through it all, he kept talking to his crew. Remember, we are not trying to win, he said as another explosion rocked the station. We are trying to show them who we are. Lieutenant Chen looked up from his damaged console. Sir, all defense platforms are destroyed. We are the last one operational. Good, Tony said. How long until the civilians clear the system? 2 minutes, sir. Perfect. Tony activated the station's communication system. He knew every human ship and base in the galaxy was still watching. This is Captain Tony Martinez to all human forces. New Austin Defense Station is about to fall. The enemy showed no mercy to our platforms or our patrol ships. Remember this when your time comes to fight. The station shook again, this time so hard that several crew members fell to the floor. Tony grabbed his chair and stayed standing. Sir, called out Ensign Park. The station is breaking apart. We need to evacuate. Tony shook his head. No evacuation. We stay at our posts. But sir, we could reach the escape pods. And then what, Ensign? Run away and hide while the aliens bombard our colony? Tony looked around at his crew. We knew this job was dangerous when we took it. Every person on this station volunteered to be here. Lieutenant Chen stood up from his ruined console. The captain is right. My family lived on New Austin for 10 years. If we cannot save them, at least we can show the galaxy what humans do when their homes are threatened. The other crew members nodded. They had all known this moment would come. Tony opened a channel to war leader Sithmak. Enemy commander, you have won your battle, but before you finish us, I want you to know something. What is that, human? This was the easy part, Tony said. These were just the outer colonies, just farmers and miners with old equipment and basic training. If this is how hard we fight for our least important worlds, imagine how we will fight for the important ones. Sithmak's image appeared on the screen. Your bravery is noted, but it changes nothing. Your species will still be eliminated. Maybe, Tony agreed. But you will remember New Austin. When your nightmares come, you will remember that even weak humans refuse to surrender. You will remember that we stayed at our posts until the very end. The final plasma blast hit the station's power core. Tony's last thought was of his wife and daughters, now safely away from the battle zone. They would live to see what came next. War leader Sithmak watched the human station explode. Around him, his bridge crew made sounds of victory. They had won easily, just as predicted. But something bothered the war leader. The humans had fought stupidly, refusing to surrender even when defeat was certain. They had died for nothing, achieving no tactical advantage. Or had they? Sithmak looked at the recordings of the battle. Every human transmission had been broadcast across their entire network. Every human military unit in the galaxy had watched New Austin die. Communications officer, Sithmak ordered, send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them the first target has been eliminated. Yes, sir. Should we report any problems? Sithmak thought about Captain Martinez and his crew. staying at their posts as their station broke apart around them. He thought about the humans' words. This was the easy part. No problems, he finally said. But tell command that human morale appears to be unusual. The alien fleet moved on to their next target, leaving behind the ruins of New Austin's defenses and the smoking remains of several bombed cities on the planet below. But they also left behind something else. They left behind the knowledge that humans would rather die than surrender, even when death served no purpose except to show their enemies what they were made of. Across human space, military commanders watched the recordings of New Austin's last stand. They saw Captain Martinez and his crew choosing death over surrender. They saw human patrol ship pilots ramming their vessels into larger alien ships, trading their lives for minor damage to enemy hulls. Admiral Ryan Carter sat in his command center on Earth, reviewing the battle footage for the 5th time. Commander. Lisa Hayes stood beside him. They died well, Lisa said quietly. Yes, Carter agreed. And now every human in the galaxy knows what we are facing. No mercy, no quarter, no hope of survival if we lose. Good, Lisa said. That makes the next phase easier. Carter nodded and activated his communication system. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Carter. You have seen what happened at New Austin. You know what the enemy thinks of us. Now it is time to show them what we think of them. Begin Phase 2 of Protocol Omega. Across human space, hidden military installations began to power up systems that had been disguised as civilian equipment for decades. Mining stations revealed their true nature as fortress bases. Research facilities opened weapon bays that had been hidden behind false walls. The aliens had won the first battle, but they had also fallen into the first trap. They thought humans were weak because the defenders of New Austin had been overwhelmed so easily. They were about to learn the difference between a tripwire and a fortress. War Marshal Zethkar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the Sol system grow larger on the main screen. Behind him, the largest fleet in galactic history moved through space like a metal storm. 2,000 ships of war, carrying enough firepower to crack planets and burn solar systems. This will end the human problem forever, announced his second-in-command, an insect-like creature called Sub-Marshal Klix. No species has ever survived a full Imperial battle fleet. Zethkar nodded. The humans had put up more resistance than expected at the outer colonies, but that only proved they were dangerous and needed to be eliminated completely. Some of the human defenders had actually chosen to ram their ships into Imperial vessels rather than surrender. Such behavior was disturbing and unnatural. Sir, called out the sensor operator, we are detecting human ships ahead, 12 vessels, in standard defensive formation around the 3rd planet. Only 12? Zethkar was surprised. Intelligence reports suggested the humans had at least 200 warships. Where were the rest? The human ships moved to intercept the Imperial fleet. They were old, battered-looking vessels that seemed barely capable of spaceflight. Leading them was a ship that broadcast its identity as the UES Defiance. Incoming transmission from the human commander, reported the communications officer. Put it through. The screen showed a human male with graying hair and tired eyes. His uniform was worn and patched. Behind him, smoke drifted across what looked like a damaged bridge. Imperial Fleet, this is Captain Derek Stone of the Earth Defense Forces. I am ordered to ask for your surrender. Several officers on Zethkar's bridge made sounds of amusement. Sub-Marshal Klix clicked his mandibles together in what passed for laughter among his species. Human Captain, Zethkar replied, you face 2,000 ships with 12. Logic suggests you should be asking for our mercy, not our surrender. Captain, Stone nodded. You are probably right, War Marshal, but Earth Command still wants me to ask. Will you withdraw your fleet and leave human space? Never. Then we will have to stop you. The connection ended. Around Zethkar's bridge, his officers made sounds of disbelief. The human captain had sounded like he actually believed 12 ships could fight 2,000. The battle began exactly as expected. The human ships charged forward, firing their primitive weapons at the Imperial fleet. Their missiles exploded, harmlessly against alien shields, and their energy beams barely scratched the armor of the larger Imperial vessels. One by one, the human ships were destroyed. They fought with the same strange courage their colonists had shown, refusing to surrender even when their vessels were breaking apart. Captain Stone's ship, the Defiance, was the last to fall. Transmission from the human captain, reported the communications officer. Stone appeared on the screen again. His bridge was on fire behind him and blood ran down his face from a head wound. "War Marshal," he said, his voice weak but steady. "You have won this battle, but Earth will never surrender. Our children will remember what you did here today. They will remember and they will come for you." The Defiance exploded in a ball of fire and metal. The path to Earth was clear. "Begin the final approach," Zethkar ordered. "Prepare bombardment. Formations. We will make an example of their homeworld that the galaxy will never forget." But as the Imperial fleet moved deeper into the Sol system, something strange began to happen. Ships that had been destroyed started appearing on the sensors again. "Sir," the sensor operator said, his voice confused, "I am detecting multiple ships rising from behind the fourth planet's moons. Configuration matches vessels we destroyed 30 minutes ago." Zethkar stared at the sensor display. Impossible. He had watched those ships die. "Sir," another officer called out. "More ships detected behind the asteroid belt, and more coming from the direction of the system's outer planets." The main screen lit up with hundreds of red dots. Ships were appearing from everywhere, emerging from behind planets and moons, rising from asteroid bases, uncloaking from positions throughout the solar system. "How many?" Zethkar demanded. "Counting now, sir. 300, 400, 500, and still rising." Sub-Marshal Klix moved closer to his commander. "War Marshal, the ships we destroyed were decoys. Unmanned vessels designed to look like their real fleet." Before Zethkar could respond, his communications officer announced another incoming transmission. This time the screen showed a different human. This one was younger, with steel-gray eyes and an expression like cold metal. "Imperial Fleet, this is Admiral Ryan Carter of the Earth Defense Forces. I believe you met some of our decoy ships a few minutes ago." Zethkar found his voice. "Admiral Carter, your trick changes nothing. We still outnumber you 4-1. Carter smiled, but it was not a pleasant expression. "War Marshal, you seem to think this is about numbers. Let me explain something about human mathematics. When you threaten our families, one human ship is worth 10 of yours. When you threaten our children, one human pilot is worth 100 of your soldiers. And when you threaten to wipe out our entire species..." The Admiral paused, his smile becoming colder. "Well, then the mathematics become very simple. We do not calculate odds. We do not count costs. We do not consider surrender. We fight until either you are dead or we are." "Brave words," Zethkar replied. "But words do not win battles." "No," Carter agreed. "Actions do. Let me show you what human action looks like." The human fleet attacked. What followed was unlike any battle in galactic history. The human ships did not fight in neat formations or follow standard tactical doctrine. They swarmed like angry insects, attacking from all directions at once. Human pilots flew their ships directly at Imperial vessels, detonating nuclear warheads on impact. Others used their ships to ram alien command bridges or engine sections. When their weapons ran out of ammunition, human captains ordered ramming attacks. "This is madness," Sub-Marshal Klix shouted, as another human ship smashed into an Imperial cruiser, both vessels exploding in a burst of light. "They are destroying themselves." "No," Zethkar said, beginning to understand. "They are destroying us." The humans had turned their entire fleet into guided missiles. Every ship, every pilot, every crew member was willing to die if it meant taking an Imperial vessel with them. They showed no concern for their own survival, only for inflicting maximum damage on their enemies. An alarm sounded on Zethkar's bridge. "Sir, we have lost 47 ships. Enemy losses are 73 vessels, but they are taking 3 of our ships for every 2 of theirs." "Sir," another officer called. "Human, Reinforcements approaching from the outer system. More ships appeared on the sensors. These were different from the first wave, larger and better armed. But they used the same insane tactics, throwing themselves at the Imperial fleet with no regard for survival. War Marshal, the communications officer reported, "We are receiving surrender requests from 17 of our captains. They want permission to withdraw from battle." Zethkar stared at the tactical display. His magnificent fleet was being torn apart by humans who fought like demons. Every few minutes, another Imperial ship disappeared from the screen, usually taking a human vessel with it. "Sir, recommend we withdraw to reassess the situation," suggested Sub-Marshal Clicks. Before Zethkar could answer, Admiral Carter's face appeared on the screen again. "War Marshal, are you ready to discuss terms?" "What terms?" Zethkar asked. "Simple," Ons Carter replied. "Leave our space and never return. Do this and we will let the remainder of your fleet go home to their families." Zethkar looked at his tactical display. He had started with 2,000 ships. Now he had fewer than 1,500, and the humans were still attacking. "And if we refuse?" Carter's expression did not change. "Then we will destroy every ship in your fleet. We will hunt down every survivor. And then we will follow you home and show your people what human wrath really looks like." Zethkar had fought in dozens of battles across the galaxy. He had conquered worlds and crushed rebellions. But he had never faced an enemy that treated death as just another weapon to be used against their foes. "Admiral Carter," he said slowly, "your people fight like animals." "No," Carter corrected him. "Animals fight for territory or food. We fight for our children's right to exist. There is nothing in this galaxy more dangerous than a parent protecting their young." Zethkar looked around his bridge. His officers stared back at him, waiting for orders. Through the windows he could see human ships continuing their attacks, trading their lives for Imperial vessels without hesitation. "Communications," he ordered. "Signal all ships to begin withdrawal. We retreat to the edge of the system." "Sir?" Sub-Marshal Clicks sounded shocked. "We are retreating?" "We are learning," Zethkar corrected. "These humans are not like other species. They cannot be conquered by fear, because they are more afraid of losing their families than they are of dying." As the Imperial fleet pulled back, Admiral Carter's voice came over the communication system one more time. "Remember this day, War Marshal. Remember that Earth's children refuse to kneel. And remember that if you ever come back, we will be waiting." Zethkar watched the blue planet grow smaller on his screen. He had lost 500 ships and gained nothing but knowledge. The knowledge that humanity could not be frightened into surrender. Now he had to decide what to do with that information. Emperor Vexthul stood in his war room deep inside the Imperial Palace, staring at the holographic display that showed the current state of the galaxy. Red markers indicated human colonies and fleet positions. Blue markers showed Imperial forces. What disturbed him most were the green markers, which represented Imperial worlds that had gone silent in the past month. "Explain to me again how a primitive species with only 18 worlds can threaten an empire of 10,000 systems," he said to War Marshal Zethkar. The War Marshal stood at attention, his scaled hide bearing new scars from the Battle of Sol. "Your Majesty, the humans do not fight like any species we have encountered. They have turned their entire civilization into a military force." "Elaborate." Zethkar activated a control, and the display zoomed in on human space. Every human colony, mining station, research facility, and trading post has revealed hidden military capabilities. What we thought were civilian installations are actually fortress bases. Their merchant ships carry military-grade weapons. Their passenger vessels can be converted to troop transports in hours. Emperor Vexthul walked around the display, studying the human positions. "And their tactics?" "Unprecedented, Your Majesty. They do not defend static positions. Instead, they attack our supply lines, communications relays, and isolated outposts. They strike without warning and vanish before we can respond." The Emperor touched one of the green markers. "The Altair system. 12 million Imperial citizens. What happened there?" Human strike forces hit the orbital defense platform simultaneously, from 17 different vectors. The platforms were destroyed before they could send a distress signal. By the time our relief fleet arrived, the humans had captured the military bases and were already evacuating Imperial personnel to prison camps. They took prisoners? Yes, Your Majesty, but they treat them well according to their own military codes. They seem to believe this gives them some kind of moral authority. Emperor Vexthul made a sound of disgust. Moral authority, as if morality matters in war. The humans appear to believe it does, Your Majesty. They broadcast recordings of their prisoner camps to show they follow what they call rules of war. It has caused unrest among some of our subject species. The Emperor moved to another part of the display. What about their industrial capacity? Heavily militarized, Your Majesty. Every human factory can produce military equipment. Every human transport ship can carry troops or weapons. They have no true civilian infrastructure anymore. War Marshal Zethkar paused, then continued. Your Majesty, I believe the humans have been preparing for this war since first contact 50 years ago. Everything they built, every colony they established, every ship they launched was designed with warfare in mind. Emperor Vexthul was quiet for several minutes, studying the display. Finally he spoke. Assemble the Grand Fleet. Every available warship, every battle station, every planetary defense force. I will lead them personally. Your Majesty, Zethkar said carefully, perhaps it would be wiser to negotiate with the humans. They have shown they are willing to discuss terms. The Emperor's eyes flashed with anger. The Galactic Empire does not negotiate with Level 3 civilizations. We are the masters of this galaxy. We have ruled for 10,000 years. We will not be defeated by a species that only learned to travel between stars a century ago. Yes, Your Majesty. How many ships can we assemble? 12,000 warships, Your Majesty, plus support vessels and planetary assault troops. It will be the largest military force in galactic history. Good. We will crush the humans so completely that no other species will ever dare to defy Imperial authority again. But even as the Emperor spoke these words, human forces were already moving. Captain Bobby Mitchell sat in the command center of a captured Imperial supply depot, coordinating attacks across a dozen systems. Strike Team 7, report status, he said into his communication device. Target eliminated, Captain, came the reply. The Imperial communication relay is down. Estimated repair time is 6 weeks. Excellent. Strike Team 12? Mining operation captured, sir. We found detailed maps of Imperial defensive positions throughout this sector. Bobby smiled. The humans had learned to fight a different kind of war. Instead of meeting Imperial fleets in massive battles, they attacked the systems that kept those fleets operational, cut the supply lines, destroy the communication networks, capture the fuel depots, and even the mightiest fleet becomes helpless. Captain, called Lieutenant Jenny Adams from the intelligence station, we are picking up increased Imperial fleet movements. It looks like they are assembling everything they have. Expected, Bobby replied. Dr. Rodriguez said they would eventually try one massive attack. Signal all units to begin Phase 4 of Protocol Omega. Across human space, the message was received and understood. Phase 4 meant it was time to reveal humanity's final secret. Dr. Elena Rodriguez stood in her laboratory deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon. Around her, technicians made final preparations to systems that had been under construction for 30 years. Status report, she called out. All orbital platforms are online, Doctor, reported her assistant, Dr. Carl Wright. The Jupiter facilities are at full power, and the asteroid belt installations are ready for activation. Elena nodded. And the deep space stations? Concealed and waiting, Doctor. The enemy has no idea they exist. Elena looked at the main display, which showed the movement of Imperial forces toward human space. 12,000 ships, exactly as they had predicted 30 years ago when Project Prometheus first began. They still think they are fighting a normal war, she said quietly. They think we have armies and fleets and bases just like they do. Don't. We, Doctor? Elena smiled. No, Carl. We have something much more dangerous. We have a plan. Meanwhile, Commander Lisa Hayes was overseeing the evacuation of human civilians from the border colonies. But these evacuations were not what they appeared to be. "Transport 7, you are cleared for departure," she told the captain of a ship, filled with women and children leaving the Kepler system. "Thank you, Control," the captain replied. Estimated arrival at safe zone is 18 hours. Lisa watched the transport disappear into hyperspace. To any Imperial spy watching, it would look like another group of frightened civilians fleeing the war zone. In reality, Transport 7 carried a team of human commandos to a secret base behind Imperial lines. "Commander," called out Ensign Peter Stone from the communication station. "Priority message from Earth Command." "Put it through." Admiral Carter's face appeared on the screen. "Lisa, the Emperor has taken personal command of the Imperial fleet. Intelligence estimates 12,000 ships heading directly for Earth." "Are we ready, Admiral?" "As ready as we can be. Begin final preparations for Operation Endgame. All human forces are to be in position within 72 hours. "Understood, sir." The connection ended. Lisa looked around the command center, where dozens of officers worked at their stations. They all knew what was coming, the largest battle in galactic history, with the survival of humanity hanging in the balance. But they also knew something the Emperor did not. Humanity's greatest weapon was not their ships or their soldiers or their technology. It was their willingness to do whatever was necessary to protect their families. "All stations," Lisa announced. "This is Commander Hayes. Operation Endgame is now active. Every human in the galaxy is now a soldier in this war. Every human ship is now a warship. Every human base is now a fortress." She paused, looking at the faces around her. "The Emperor wants to eliminate our species. Instead, he is about to discover that our species has spent 50 years preparing to eliminate threats to our children. He thinks he is bringing 12,000 ships to conquer Earth. What he is actually doing is bringing 12,000 targets into range of every weapon we have built, every trap we have set, and every soldier we have trained." Across human space, the final preparations began. Hidden bases powered up weapons that had never been tested in combat. Secret factories increased production to maximum capacity. Volunteer civilians reported to military posts to receive weapons and training. The Galactic Empire was about to learn the difference between conquering a civilization and fighting one that had transformed itself into a weapon designed for a single purpose: the destruction of anyone who threatened human children. Emperor Vexthul stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching human space grow larger on the main screen. Behind him, 12,000 ships moved in perfect formation, carrying enough firepower to destroy solar systems. He was confident this would be the final battle. After today, there would be no more human resistance, no more defiant messages, no more embarrassing defeats for Imperial forces. He had no idea that every step closer to Earth brought him deeper into the most elaborate trap in galactic history. Emperor Vexthul stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His grand fleet of 12,000 ships had entered the Sol system expecting to find a desperate last stand. Instead, they had discovered that the entire solar system had become a weapon. "Report," he demanded from his tactical officer. "Your Majesty, we count over 1,500 defensive platforms throughout the system. Every asteroid has been hollowed out and turned into a fortress. The planets themselves appear to be armed with surface-to-space weapons of unprecedented power." War Marshal Zethkar moved closer to his emperor. "Your Majesty, our intelligence was completely wrong. The humans have not been building a civilization. For the past 50 years, they have been building a military machine." On the main screen, Admiral Ryan Carter's face appeared. The human commander looked older than when Zethkar had last seen him, but his eyes held the same cold determination. "Emperor Vexthul," Carter said, "welcome to Earth's solar system. You are now inside the most heavily fortified military position in galactic history." The Emperor stepped forward. "Admiral Carter, you are surrounded by the largest fleet ever assembled. Surrender now, and your species will be granted a quick death." Carter smiled. "Your Majesty, you seem to think you have us trapped here with you. Actually, we have you trapped here with us." Before the Emperor could respond, alerts began sounding throughout his flagship. The tactical officer's voice rose in panic. "Your Majesty, ships decloaking throughout the system, multiple contacts rising from behind planetary bodies. We count over 3,000 human vessels. The Emperor stared at the display as red dots appeared everywhere around his fleet. Human ships emerged from hiding spots behind moons, rose from concealed bases on asteroids, and uncloaked from positions throughout the solar system. Impossible, Zethkar whispered. Intelligence reports indicated the humans had fewer than 800 ships total. Admiral Carter's voice came, through the communication system again. War Marshal Zethkar, you are thinking like a civilized species. You assume we build ships in shipyards and base them at official military installations. But we are not civilized when someone threatens to kill our children. The display showed more red dots appearing. Every human transport ship, cargo hauler, mining vessel, and passenger liner in the galaxy has been converted to military use. Every human civilian has become a soldier. Every human installation has become a fortress. Emperor Vexthul found his voice. You have turned your entire species into warriors. Yes, Carter replied simply. And now you will learn why that was a mistake on your part. The battle began. What followed was unlike anything in the history of galactic warfare. The human forces did not engage the Imperial fleet in traditional combat formations. Instead, they attacked from every direction at once, using the entire solar system as their battlefield. Human ships emerged from concealed positions inside asteroid fields, firing nuclear torpedoes at point-blank range. Defensive platforms hidden throughout the system opened fire with weapons that had been charging power for decades. Even the planets themselves joined the fight, launching missiles from surface installations that the Empire had never detected. Sir, the tactical officer reported, we are taking massive casualties. The humans are using coordinated attacks from multiple vectors. Our shields cannot handle this level of concentrated fire. But the humans were not finished. As the Imperial fleet tried to reorganize, long-range human strike forces attacked Imperial bases throughout the galaxy. Captain Derek Stone, who had survived his apparent death during the first battle, led these attacks from behind enemy lines. Strike Force Alpha to Earth Command, Derek reported from his position near the Imperial capital world. We have eliminated the orbital defense grid around Centauri Prime, ready to begin bombardment of military targets. Similar reports came from dozens of systems. While the Emperor's fleet was trapped in Sol system, human forces were attacking every major Imperial military installation in the galaxy. Commander Lisa Hayes coordinated these attacks from a hidden command center on Earth's moon. Strike Force Charlie hit the Imperial supply depot at Rigel 7. Strike Force Echo take out the communication relays in the Vega system. The Emperor watched his empire crumble on the tactical display. How? He demanded. How did they coordinate attacks across the entire galaxy? Dr. Elena Rodriguez answered that question from her laboratory. She had finally revealed Project Prometheus in its full scope. Hidden throughout Imperial space, disguised as research stations and mining operations, were human intelligence bases that had been gathering information for 50 years. Every Imperial ship movement, every military installation, every supply route, she explained to Admiral Carter through their secure connection. We have been watching and learning for 5 decades. We know your empire better than you do. But the most shocking revelation came when the Imperial fleet tried to retreat from Sol system. As they moved toward the edge of human space, they discovered that their escape route was blocked. Your Majesty, the sensor operator reported, his voice filled with terror. We are detecting massive structures throughout this region of space. They appear to be artificial. The main screen showed the truth. Surrounding human space, hidden in the darkness between solar systems, were enormous military stations, hundreds of them, each one larger than an Imperial battleship, each one armed with weapons designed for one purpose, destroying any force that tried to invade human territory. 50 years, Admiral Carter's voice came over the communication system. 50 years we spent preparing for this moment. 50 years of building, planning, and waiting for you to make the mistake of threatening our families. Emperor Vexthul stared at the tactical display. His magnificent fleet was trapped inside a sphere of human military installations. Everywhere he looked, human weapons were pointed at his ships. "Admiral Carter," he said slowly, "what are your terms?" "Simple," Carter replied. "Complete withdrawal of all Imperial forces from human space, recognition of human independence, and a permanent seat for humanity on the Galactic Council." "And if we refuse?" The answer came not from Carter, but from Jake Morrison, the human ambassador who had delivered the warning to the Galactic Council months earlier. "Then we demonstrate why we spent 50 years building the most powerful military force in galactic history," Jake said, as his image appeared on the screen. "Your Majesty, you wanted to see human wrath. You wanted to eliminate our species because you thought we were dangerous. You were right about one thing. We are dangerous, but only to those who threaten our children." Jake paused, looking directly at the Emperor. "You have a choice. Sign a peace treaty and go home to your families, or continue this war and discover that humans can be just as ruthless as any Imperial commander when someone tries to commit genocide against our species." Emperor Vexthul looked around his bridge. His officers stared back at him, waiting for orders. Through the windows he could see human ships surrounding his fleet, their weapons charged and ready. "Your Majesty," War Marshal Zethkar said quietly, "we have lost 40% of our fleet. The humans have demonstrated they can attack our worlds while defending their own. If we continue fighting, we risk losing the entire Empire." The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. Then he activated his communication system. "Admiral Carter, the Galactic Empire accepts your terms." 3 months later, Jake Morrison stood once again before the Galactic Council, but this time he was not alone. Behind him sat Admiral Carter, Dr. Rodriguez, Commander Hayes, and other human representatives. And this time, Jake was not standing in the center of the hall as a prisoner. He was sitting at the council table as an equal member. "The Terra Accords have been signed by all parties," the Zephyrian High Chancellor announced. "Humanity is hereby granted full membership in the Galactic Council and recognized as a sovereign power." Jake stood to address the assembly. Around him, thousands of alien beings watched in silence. "Honored council members," he said, "humanity did not seek this war. We wanted only to live in peace and raise our families in safety. But when that peace was threatened, we showed the galaxy what our species is capable of when fighting for survival." Jake looked around the vast hall, meeting the eyes of representatives from dozens of worlds. "We hope this war has taught all of us an important lesson. Humanity is not interested in conquest or domination. We want only to exist in peace. But if any power in this galaxy ever again threatens to eliminate our species, they will discover that we have turned our entire civilization into a weapon designed for one purpose: protecting our right to exist." Jake sat down. The hall was completely silent. Then, from somewhere in the upper levels came the sound of applause. It was joined by others, and then more, until the entire Galactic Council was applauding the humans who had fought the largest empire in the galaxy to a standstill. And, one later, as the human delegation prepared to return to Earth, Emperor Vexthul approached Jake Morrison. "Ambassador," the Emperor said, "I have a question." "What is it, Your Majesty?" "When you warned us that human wrath was coming, did you know your species would win this war?"